Welcome back to the channel. We're back on our Final Fantasy Commander deck profile to Rinoa Angel Wing. For 2 and a white, you get a 2/4 where, at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. Whenever one or more attacking creatures you control die, you may return one of those creatures to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. You can only do that once each turn, but with our ways that we can sacrifice our creatures, we can make sure that our creatures could die during combat. We have a whole bunch of ways to benefit off of having flying creatures while we're at it as well. Ways to buff our other flying creatures, ways to benefit off of creatures entering the battlefield, and just overall, just some good mono white stuff that we could do with this deck. Overall, not like the best commander. Definitely has her uses in terms of like what she can do. The once per turn does limit her just a little bit, but not like too much. But that's just a general overview. Let's get into it card by card. Starting us off, we have Altar of Dementia. You can sacrifice a creature in order to have target player mill that many cards. With this deck, we're trying to sacrifice our creatures during combat. This way we can make sure at least one creature dies during combat. So this helps us do just that. Arcane Signet for a little bit of ramp. Ashnod's Altar for another way to sacrifice a creature, along with some ramp while we're at it. Get the best of both worlds there. Lightning Grease to make sure creatures can attack the turn they come down, getting the most out of +1/+1 in vigilance while Rinoa is around. Mask of Memory, allowing us to get some draw power since we're going to be dealing combat damage to our opponent, drawing the 2 cards, discarding a card, getting cards into the graveyard. Milestone for some ramp. A Catcher's Monument for some cost reduction for our flyers, along with getting some additional warriors. Palantir of Oathneck. At the beginning of combat, beginning of end step, put an influence counter on this card and scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on this card, and that player loses life equal to the total mana value of cards. We don't necessarily look like we have that many high mana values. All of a sudden, you get hit with a 7, a 6, a 9, and all of a sudden they're out of the game. Could come in handy. Pearl Medallion for some extra cost reduction. Soul Ring for some ramp. Sword of the Animus. We're in mono white. We'll take what we can get in terms of getting some extra lands on the board. Join the Eldraine for some extra ramp, along with some draw power while we're at it. And Witch's Oven, just for a good sacrifice outlet there. For our creatures, we have Aerial Extortionist. This way we could at least get rid of one of our opponent's things temporarily. They have to pay the full mana cost, not just the 2 for the airbending. And when they recast that card, they have to spend some mana. We get to draw some cards while we're at it. Also gets the buff from being a flying creature. Battle Angel's a tier. Another good flying myriad creature, making sure we deal damage to each opponent, making sure we have a creature to sacrifice if we need the extra mana while we're at it. Bounty Agent. Destroying some legendary permanents. Burnished Heart. You can also sacrifice this creature. This way you can do it during combat and just get the most out of it. It has vigilance to begin with, so doesn't necessarily care about being tapped. Burnished Heart, another good creature that we could sacrifice during combat. Get some extra lands, get the buff there. Another good creature to sacrifice. We have Kadar Commando. Sacrifice it. Remove one of our opponent's things from the board. Celestine, the Living Saint. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card mana value X last from your graveyard to the battlefield. Rex the amount of life you gain this turn. You're not getting like a lot of life. You're getting like enough where like you could get something back, even just by her dealing like combat damage. So like returning something 4 or greater, pretty good. Firemain Commando. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, you get to draw a card. With giving our creatures a buff plus vigilance, gonna be easy for us to do. Whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card. If none of those creatures attacked you, they just have to attack our opponents. It's that simple. Jackdaw Savior, another way to bring our flyers back from our graveyard. Whenever Jackdaw Savior or another creature with flying dies, turn another creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Doing exactly what we're trying to do. Karmic Guide, another source of recursion, getting stuff back from our graveyard. Knights of the White Orchid, another creature we'd want to recur, sacrifice it, bring it back, and get an extra ramp. Lorna the Third Pet, another good ETB ability. This way when she dies, you sacrifice her, get her back with a flying counter, and you remove 2 artifacts or enchantments. Luminous Broodmoth, bring back our non-flying creatures. This way we don't have to waste our time on just one. We can do multiple. And also, like, if you want, you can run the monster art, which is pretty cool. Felia, Exuberant Shepherd. Potentially blinking our creatures, getting those ETB abilities again. Also removing like the flying counters from some of our creatures. This way, if we need them to come back with flying counters, they can. Restoration Specialist. Another creature we could sacrifice in order to get rid of our opponent's stuff. I go back to their hands with this one, but still, overall good ability. Rhea, Dawnbringer. Beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if they thought they got rid of our Sephara, Sky's Blade, or Spectacular Spider-Man, or just like something in our graveyard that we want, we got it back. It's 9 mana, so better do something good. Selfless Spirit, another source of protection. Sephara, Sky's Blade, giving our she does have Convoke herself, giving our other creatures a flying indestructible. This way we could keep on swinging and not have to worry about our creatures getting removed. Solemn Simulacrum, another good ETB ability there. Spectacular Spider-Man, another good sacrifice ability to protect our creatures. This way we have something dying during combat. Sun Titan, a good way to recur our Self Spirit, our Spectacular Spider-Man, our Restoration Specialist, Philia, all the stuff we want to see. Tashar, Ancestors Apostle, another good way to do the same thing Sun Titan's doing, just this one's a little bit cheaper. And I think this one has to be legendary. Yeah. Welcoming Empire, another good source to draw power because we have a lot of cheap creatures. So it does just that. Only has to enter, doesn't necessarily have to be cast. Also we have Witch Enchant over here for another good like ETB ability. For our enchantments, we have Court of Grace, making us a monarch, giving us another creature with flying, giving us another creature with vigilance and flying. Thanks to our commander. Darksteel Mutation for a good way to get rid of our opponent's things, at least temporarily. Especially if we put this on their commander, it makes it indestructible and a 0/1 and loses all of its abilities, aka their commander's gone for the rest of the game, essentially. Minimus Containment makes anything into a treasure token. They can just sacrifice and get some mana, but like, by the time they do, they're not using it for much. Murmuration, giving our birds a boost. We don't have necessarily a lot of birds, but we could get a lot of birds with this because it's getting a Stormcrow based on our storm count. Reconnaissance, in order to move our creatures from combat, so we could have everything swing in. Only have one thing get removed. Tikacia's Welcome, another good source to draw power, similar to Welcoming Vampire, just cares about a creature entering. So if we have something enter, thanks to Rinoa's ability, we get that draw power off it. True Conviction, in order to give our creatures double strike and lifelink, so we could make the most out of being able to deal damage to our opponent. For instance, we have Clever Concealment for some protection, Dawn's Truce for some protection, Duty Beyond That, sacrifice the one thing that we're okay with getting removed, bring that back with flying, and give everything else indestructible while we're at it. Everybody lives. Giving everything that hexproof and indestructible, making so people can't lose either, though, is the only thing. But overall, does exactly what we want to. Gives us another turn. Fate Renewal. If we manage to sacrifice all of our creatures, we could just bring them all back. Player Fortitude, another source of protection. Flawless Maneuver for some more protection. We have a lot of protection in this deck. This is very much one of those decks where if you get behind, you are not getting back up ahead. Generous Gift for some protection. Nope, that's not protection, that's removal. Pet Exile for some removal. Rally of Wings, in order to make sure our things we're flying can attack and deal some actual damage. Restoration Magic for some protection. Stroke of Midnight for some removal. And Source of Plowshares for some removal. War Room allows us a little bit of draw power. Reliquary Tower, no maximum hand size. Undo Inversion, destroy all non-land permanents. That could, how much protection we have and our opponents don't, that could come in handy. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, a lot of mana potentially. Mirren, the Moaning Well, allows you to sacrifice some creatures, gain some life, and you just bring your creature back. Mina's Tirith allows you some draw power. High Market, another way to sacrifice a creature, gain some life. Gaia Rock, Sanitarium, draw some cards. Maria Skyrune, another good way to bring your creatures back from your graveyard. And Command Beacon, because eventually you're not going to want to spend 5 mana for your commander. Starfall Invocation for a board wipe. Split up for a board wipe. Savine's Reclamation to revive your creatures. Farewell for a board wipe. Council's Judgment for a board wipe. And Austere Command for a board wipe. Overall, bunch of good cards, but like, I think Rinoa is definitely better in the 99 than she would be in the command zone herself. Is she fun? Yeah, I'd say so. Would I particularly like say she's the best flying commander? I'm not sure she's the best flying commander from this year. But definitely fun. But if you guys have your own way you'd run the deck, leave it down there in the comment section. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.